Hi everyone, this is Kim Aaliyah, and welcome to a very special session with my good friend Dr. Robert Mello. Dr. Mello is going to talk this evening on the future of homeopathy. Before he gets into his subject, I'm just going to give him a quick introduction, and then he's going to give a presentation for about 45 minutes. And then at the end, for the last 15 minutes, there'll be an opportunity for questions and answers. You can type your questions throughout tonight's presentation right into the control panel, and I'll field those questions. And then again, at the end, time permitting, I'll ask Dr. Mello as many of those questions as is possible. So before I pass it over to Dr. Mello, let me just give him a quick introduction. Robert Mello was raised in a family with a history in homeopathy. His father, his uncle, and his elder brother were all MDs with postgraduate studies in our treasured art and science. Dr. Mello received his MD degree in conventional medicine at Xavier University in Bogota and also at the University of Miami, Jackson Memorial Hospital. After his medical school studies, he studied acupuncture and also neurotherapy in Colombia. He also completed studies in homeopathy at the Royal London Homeopathic Hospital, where he also got involved in the research program there that was led by Dr. Peter Fisher and also Dr. Flavio Dantas. He's also attended seminars from Professor George Vitolkas at the School of Classical Homeopathy in Alonissos, that's in Greece. He's also attended seminars from people like Jan Scholten, Jeremy Scher, Paul Herskew, Dr. Luc de Schepper, Lou Klein, Rajan Sankran, the Banerjees. I know that he's been at a number of my presentations and seminars that I've taught. So he's very eclectic and has studied with many different individuals. In 2009, he married Justina Mazur, who has a master's of science in chemistry and physics and has actually more than 11 years of experience in manufacturing homeopathic remedies in compliance with the FDA, DOH, and HPCUS. And she's actually currently the Director of Quality Control and Quality Assurance at the Assurance Department in Ohm Pharmacy. That's the pharmacy that Dr. Mello actually runs. Dr. Mello is actually the president of Ohm Pharmacy Incorporated, which is a licensed and inspected FDA-registered OTC pharmaceutical manufacturing facility, which specializes in homeopathic remedies since the year 2000. He was also appointed member of the Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia Convention of the United States, and that's the organization that maintains the policies and procedures of the official compendium of homeopathy manufacturing in the USA. Dr. Mello is very passionate about helping professional homeopaths expand their practice of homeopathy. Maybe a little bit later on in the presentation he can tell us a little bit more about that and the work that he's doing with Ohm Pharmacy. And he's done extensive research into scientific methodology that can validate the effectiveness of homeopathy. Now, Dr. Mello was very gracious and kind to make a special offer to all people who take WHN courses, the online courses that people pay for. He didn't actually even want me to mention this, but I'm going to mention it anyway. For all people who do take the WHN courses, he is offering a 50% discount off the standard pricing, provided you have a certificate from any one of our paid courses. So thank you, Dr. Mello, very much for that. With that quick introduction, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you. And thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us.
Thank you very much, Kim. And thank you all for attending this talk. I know that most of the time we're used to and prefer talks about how to find this minimum, or how to approach a case, or how to help a patient or a client. This time, I invite you to think about our community and homeopathy, how we can work together for a better and more inclusive healthcare system, how we can work for homeopathy instead of with homeopathy. I think this is a time to give back to homeopathy, or at least that's the case for me. We're going to talk, this is the overview. We're going to talk about the status of practice and remedies, FDA and HPCUS new regulations and their impact on homeopathy, obstacles for the development of homeopathy. You'll be surprised to know that most of the obstacles come from within our community. And then later we're going to do a proposed solution based on the faults from the conventional medicine model. So we have a lot to cover, not so much time, so I'm going to try to move as fast as possible so we can have some question and answers at the end. Homeopathy, basically is divided into the practice of homeopathy and homeopathic remedies. The practice, is regulated by the state. Each individual state has its own regulations. There are some states that have health freedom, so homeopathy can be practiced there without any problem. Some other states, it's much more difficult to practice homeopathy. Later, I'll mention something else with that disclaimer about the practice of homeopathy. About the remedies, there are state and federal regulations. There's no way out. The state is the Department of Health, and the federal is the FDA. Those are the ones that regulate the manufacturing of homeopathic remedies. Why the FDA? This is due to Senator Dr. Gordon Samuel Copeland, who is a U.S. Senator from New York and homeopathic physician, and he sponsored the inclusion of the HPCUS into the FDA. So basically, because of him, homeopathic remedies are considered drugs in this country, which I think is positive. So we abide by the Code of Federal Regulations as OTC pharmaceuticals. We are not abide by the Department of Agriculture. We are not dietary supplements. We are not vitamins. It's surprising how many people do not know that homeopathic remedies are considered OTC pharmaceuticals.
Robert, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. We're getting a lot of people saying the sound quality is very hard to hear you. It's true. I don't know what you can do, but I know we tried to improve it earlier, but it kind of sounds like you're talking in a box.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm more the microphone. Is it any better now?
Keep talking a little bit.
Okay. I'm talking about the last 2 decades that the practice and sales of homeopathic remedies have increased.
I think that might be a little bit better. I'm not sure what else to do.
Or just go out without the mic. Shall we try that?
Try without the mic? Okay, you can try it without the mic.
I'm disconnecting the whole thing. Is it any better now?
That is better, yes.
Okay, so no mic. That's fine. Okay, so we were talking about why there are more regulations. Oh, because there are more sales of homeopathic remedies. Basically, that has increased the enforcement by the agencies, basically FDA. So there are a lot of recently many warning letters to manufacturers who are out of compliance, non-compliance products, non-compliance labeling guidelines, unregistered FDA products, labeling claims, unlicensed manufacture of homeopathics. I mean, it's a lot what is going on in the enforcement part because the sales have increased, and in theory, FDA looks for the benefit or for the rights of the people. So that's the way of thinking. For the practice, you have basically two options. You do either self-regulation, which is great, what the Council of Homeopathic Certification are doing, the certification. So we are trying to self-regulate because the other is, government regulation. So we prefer to regulate ourselves. Now, I was attending recently, I'm doing a fellowship on integrative medicine with Dr. Lee Calvin. And last weekend, I was in that fellowship, and there was a talk by Dr. Naturopath Tim Atkinson. He talked about, he is working with a group that is exploring private membership associations. Maybe many people are familiar with those. Those are where you do not see patients or clients, you just see members of the association. And the new thing that he's exploring is doing these PMAs, private membership associations, under tribal government. So that's like, double protection for a practice because a tribal government is like a separate government, and he was trying to explain that. I mean, very interesting. It sounds very promising for homeopathy, for the states that you cannot practice. For the practice, you have these two options. For the remedies, you only have one option, and it's compliance. There's no other way to manufacture homeopathic remedies in this country legally. So you have FDA, good manufacturing practices, OTC pharmaceuticals, and HPUS. HPUS is a homeopathic pharmacopoeia convention of the United States. Basically, this is the entity that updates and publishes the guidelines for homeopathic manufacturing in the US. It's divided into these committees: the monograph review committee, the pharmacopoeia review committee, Council of Pharmacy Standards and Control Committee, and toxicology and safety committees. I personally service in the pharmacopoeia review committee and the Council of Pharmacy. So what's going on there? In the basically how it goes is that the HPS proposes new regulations, but the HPCUS is not an enforcement agency, so FDA enforces. FDA enforces using the HPUS and the CFR, the Code of Federal Regulations. So that's applied to, which is also applied to conventional drugs. Surprisingly, most of the members of the HPUS are Europeans. Basically, most of them are Germans, French, and English. So what happens is that in Europe in general, there was an increase in the regulations of manufacture homeopathic remedies in Europe. What they're trying to do is to level the playing field, so they're trying to bring the same regulations that are in Europe and impose them here. So in here, in the HPCUS, basically there are two companies, Highlands and ourselves. I do not understand why the other companies that manufacture homeopathic remedies are not in the HPCUS. And I would encourage anybody that has any relationship with other manufacturers to encourage them, please join the HPUS. Because that goes by, it's a democratic voting. It's important there. So, I'm trying to, do my best I can in the HPUS, but I have one vote there against 30. So it's not much that I can do. Let me show you a little bit about the new regulations that are going to be enforced. So basically now homeopathic remedies, we were exempt from expiration date as per FDA. Now we are going to have expiration date, the suggestion of HPCUS. For expiration date, then we have to run stability testing for everything: raw material, intermediates, finished dilution. That's a lot of stability testing. Even they wanted us to run stability for all the intermediate potencies, meaning in arnica we'd have to run stability for 6C, stability for 7C, 8C, 9C. So I told them we're going to have to buy hundreds of stability chambers, and then they said, okay, we're going to sort of, you can extrapolate. So it's crazy. Label indications for single remedies, we were exempt if we sell directly to a professional. We could put to be used according to standard homeopathic indications. Now I'm still fighting that, but they want to put the label indication in all the single remedies. So it's going to be tough for a practitioner to explain, why he prescribed lachesis to a teenager when in the label it says it's for menopause. There are a lot of new requirements for tinctures, plant growing protocols. We're going to have to find out the pH, the soil where the plant grew. Well, heavy metal testing, that's good. And there are going to be also new grouping guidelines. Very strict. We're going to roughly, briefly see those guidelines. This is just to tell you that it's complex to do groupings with a new methodology. Not only complex, it takes a lot of time. Once you do the proving, then this is the process. to evaluate the proving. So it's complex and expensive. So this process, will take easily the sponsor $50,000 to work with
Robert,
it.
I'm going to interrupt you once again because Robert,
So
Robert,
yes,
we're still getting
yes.
complaints about the sound. People are asking two things. One, if you could just speak a little more slowly, and also if you could just maybe speak a little bit louder as well. Sorry to
Oh,
interrupt you.
okay, okay, okay. Let's see. Okay, so this is just to see the monograph. I mean, the proves how difficult and expensive it's going to be. It's not. We don't approve many new remedies here in the HPUS. I mean, the sponsor has to spend $50,000, so there's not much incentive to do that. So uh, that's a bit of a big problem. Quality control, new requirements for quality control. This is going to be standard, um, expensive. Again, to comply, okay, we have to comply, we will comply. The upside of this is that, yes, we're going to have better quality for the manufacturing of homeopathic remedies. The downside is that it's going to be more expensive. And it will also, not only expensive, but the availability of the remedies here in the U.S. It's going to be at risk. Hopefully, we don't have to purchase most of the remedies from the other side of the Atlantic, but things are going not very good. Why is this happening? I mean, of course, Europe has a much more established homeopathic industry there. The biggest companies in the world are there. Now we're going to have to go to increase regulations to be at the same level as Europe. I mean, it's just simple economics. Increase regulations, decrease competition, increase market share. So not not very good. But this is a reality. There's nothing we can do. I mean, as I told you, it's democracy, and votes count in the HPUS. This is a big, heavy load, definitely, for a very weak homeopathic industry in the US. I wonder, about the provings again. We basically right now here we are waiting for the French companies or the German companies to decide to do a proving, so we can include the new remedy in our US HUS. We have to do our own provings. Um, we don't have to import other remedies from Europe. We have the capability of proving them here. So why don't we do it here? Now, for that to happen, we have to remove two major obstacles, what I would call two major obstacles to cure. Um, so we're familiar with our language. The first one is the first problem that we have here in America is grafting. Grafting in America is sort of cultural due to the size of the country. In the 1800s, there was no other way in there but to do grafting. This country is way too big. There are not so many homeopathic pharmacies, so okay, you have to do grafting. Now, time has passed. We have regulations to comply with. And also, we also have FedEx, UPS, and USPS, which we didn't have in the 1800s and 1900s. So we must comply with that. It is important to work on trying to eliminate grafting. Uh, it's like in the software industry. Um, Kim is very familiar with that. I mean, if it wasn't for the security keys of the software, where would the software homeopathic industry would be? And many people benefit from that software industry. But they have a key. With remedies, it's very similar. If we want to do provings, if we want to manufacture remedies here, we need to try to stop grafting. We need to recognize that is a problem that doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't benefit newcomers to homeopathy. Uh, Being clients, patients, or students, if they go to a homeopathic consultation, Normally, it's a woman, a female, 30 to 40 years old, go to the homeopathic practitioner, spend between $200 to $500, goes, returns to the house, um, talks to the husband, how are things going, and how was the homeopath, and then she says, okay, I went to the homeopath, and look what I got, and there are some labeled, wrongly labeled, or something, in envelope with some pellets or something like that. Definitely you lost the husband there. If you show a remedy that is registered, FDA inspected, and all that, it gives a sense of credibility and security to newcomers to homeopathy. So it's good for the professional image of homeopathy to use FDA registered homeopathic remedies. The other thing is that using grafting remedies increases the liability for the practitioner also. We must recognize, before we fix something, we must recognize that it's a problem. And most of the persons, practitioners, do not recognize that grafting is a problem. And we need to call it by the real name. And it's piracy. It's homeopathic piracy. The piracy in the movie and the music industry is done mainly by people that do not belong to those communities. Piracy in homeopathy, on the other hand, is done by people that are in the homeopathic community and deeply love homeopathy. We just don't see it as a problem, but it is. We don't think that $7 or $10 impact the future of homeopathy. Very much, it does impact. You can read an article in the latest NAT journal I wrote about the title was the $7 death of homeopathy. A similar topic. We need to educate about this. The other problem that we have in our community is competition between industry, between practitioners, between different schools of thought, between everywhere is competition. The industry is trying to bypass the practitioners and indirectly the remedies to the public. Putting a website, you can give me the symptoms, I'll sell you the remedy. The practitioners are doing grafting, competing with the industry. I mean, the different schools of thought. It's always like that. We need to really try to stop this competition because, as we all know, all this competition will just give us ailments from disappointment. To put it in repertory language. Now, on a positive note, slowly with time, we are improving the respect to other schools of thought. That has been happening lately. We're more respectful of other schools of thought. And so, going back to the repertory, if we don't stop those ailments, we just have forsaken feelings, confidence, want of self, fear of failure, fear of undertaking, irresolution. So where is the solution? The solution, and let's go to the bright side of the presentation, is teamwork. This is a teamwork between practitioners, education, and industry. This is a solution with a proven record. Countries have done it, and where countries have done it, homeopathy has flourished. This strategy comes really from conventional medicine. That's what conventional medicine did. Put to work together everybody. It's a feedback loop, and but how can we do this better this time? We have a great advantage that we can see the last 60 years of conventional medicine and analyze on that. So and try not to make the same mistakes. Now leadership. We go back to this. This system failed in conventional medicine. It started well, but then it failed. Why it failed? Because the leadership of this system became the industry, and that's a big mistake. Leadership needs to be the practitioner, not the industry, not the pharmaceutical industry, not the insurance companies. No, it must be the practitioner. That happened with conventional medicine. Look what happened with the system, because we let loose the industry run wild. And now the industry was created to service the practitioners. But what really happened is that the practitioners ended up serving the industry. Ask any practitioner nowadays. I mean, physicians. I'm not talking for physicians. I mean, they are, I see them as victims, slaves of the system. And who is the definite leader? The industry. Industry runs everything in conventional medicine. We have to put some checks and balances in this system, but definitely the practitioner must be the leader in the whole system. Now, the next part that we can analyze is science. Um, Conventional medicine, we got into evidence-based medicine. And we based everything on randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled research. Anything else is not science. That's a big mistake. Now we see that it's a big mistake. 23% of highly cited RCTs, randomized controlled trials, are later refuted. I mean, we've proven that what we thought it was the gold standard of allopathic drug research is not really that good. Actually, it's pretty faulty. If you want to see how unsuccessful the conventional medicine, you might as well read a book from Ben Goldacre. This is a fantastic book. It's a physician from the UK, and he wrote a book about basically the history of conventional medicine. It's so good. I'm going to read you, hopefully we have some time, I'm going to read you the first paragraph of the book. It says, medicine is broken. The plane flies, but it crashes much more often than it needs to. We like to imagine that medicine is based on evidence, and the results are a fair test. In reality, those tests are often profoundly flawed. We like to imagine that doctors are familiar with the research literature, when in reality much of it is hidden from them by drug companies. We like to imagine that doctors are well educated, when in reality much of their education is funded by industry. We like to imagine that regulators only let effective drugs enter the market, when in reality they approve hopeless drugs with data and side effects casually withheld from doctors and patients. Drugs are tested by the people who manufacture them in poorly designed trials and hopelessly small numbers of weird and representative patients, and analyzed using techniques which are flawed by design in such a way that they exaggerate the benefits of treatments. Unsurprisingly, these trials tend to produce results that favor the manufacturer. When trials throw up results that companies don't like, they are perfectly entitled to hide them from doctors and patients. So we only ever see a distorted picture of any drug's true effects. Regulators see most of the trial data, but only from early in the drug's life. And even then, they don't give the data to doctors or patients, or even to other parts of government. This distorted evidence is then communicated and applied in a distorted fashion. In their 40 years of practice after leaving medical school, doctors hear about what works through the ad hoc oral traditions from sales reps, colleagues, or journals. But those colleagues can be in the pay of drug companies, often undisclosed, and the journals are too. And some are, and so are the patient groups. And finally, academic papers, which everyone thinks of as objective, are often covertly planned and written by people who work directly for the companies without disclosures. We call them ghostwriters. Sometimes whole academic journals are even owned outright by one drug company. Aside from all these, for several of the most important and enduring problems in medicine, we have no idea what the best treatment is because it's not in anyone's financial interest to conduct any trials at all. So I really highly recommend this book, especially for physicians. It's really incredible. So we can have a few other rubrics. How about deceitful, corrupt, dishonest, manipulative, untruthful? And the book also trashes homeopathy. He's definitely against homeopathy with good reason because we have not done enough in homeopathy. We need to start working because it's not enough. And what we present is not enough. What is the solution? The solution is to collect the data. All data must be collected using standard scientific parameters approved by the international scientific community. Um, Case reports uh, are very useful, not just anecdotal evidence. You see, in medical school, we are taught that case reports are the lowest part of the scientific evidence. Only the RCTs, randomized controlled trials, were good. The rest is anecdotal and very little use. Now that has changed, and it changes with technology. Now we can collect thousands of cases, and then it's no longer anecdotal. It's no longer five case reports. We can have thousands of reports of homeopathic therapeutic success, or at least the data. Because it's not only the success. We need to take also positive success and negative outcomes. We need to collect all the data. For that, maybe we can use some free research electronic data capture platforms like Project RedCap, or we have to look into another platform. But we need to start capturing more data. As I said, it's important to not only gather the positive but the negative. So I envision the seminars in the future where master teachers present the data of their approach, not only theory and few positive outcome cases. Also, we need to present the negative outcomes, which will become more interesting. And we all need to think of why the case failed and contribute to a solution. So I'll envision like Paul Herskew presenting his cycles and segments, showing the data, that his system, treating patients with his system, or Vega Rosenberg with his boxes, Sankran with his sensation, Banerjees with their protocols. And in fact, the Banerjees are doing an excellent job in recovering and all the data. It's the people that I've seen more advanced in recuperating all the data. They've been doing for years. They did it like for 20 years, and then they presented the data. Then the scientific community says, okay, it was not correctly organized, so it's of no use. Then they question the scientific. So how they can collect the data? So they told them, okay, you have to collect it this specific way. So, okay, they've been collecting that specific way for 10 years already. So they have a huge amount of data, well collected data. Because if it's not well connected, then it's of no use for the scientific community. Therapeutic effectiveness. We need to evaluate the therapeutic effectiveness. Finally, conventional medicine is catching up with our subjective analysis. So they designed some quality of life questionnaires, mainly to assess the quality of life of cancer patients. This is subjective. This is assessing from the patient standpoint. We need to use these quality of life questionnaires to assess homeopathy. We know that homeopathy really increases the quality of life of our patients. So we need to document that. Also, it's important since we all know that we have different schools of thought. We need to evaluate which school is better for certain things. Maybe in some years, we'll see, okay, for this specific case, it's better to have this specific approach or this other, but with data, not just fighting because I don't agree with your approach and I think it's wrong, but where's the data to show that it's correct or that it's wrong? Now that the last part of these that we need to see is a socioeconomic model. Conventional medicine is the best medicine for society. It's proving. You can see it in the cartoon from Mike Adams, Town of Allopath. I'm sure many of you have seen it. If not, you can go to YouTube. This conventional medicine has done a great job for our society. It's just a cycle of money and business and generates a lot of employment. And so many people are employed in the healthcare system.
As many of you have uh, listened to this, it says more people live out of cancer than die from cancer. I mean, that's absolutely true. So that's the best thing of conventional medicine. Now, we do have a true healing system, which is homeopathy, which we know is the best medicine for the individual. We must find a balance between both systems. One is aimed to helping society. The conventional medicine is helping society, jobs, employment, all that. And one that is helping the individual. That is homeopathy. So, what is the solution? We need to do integrative healthcare. We need to implement, integrate homeopathy into healthcare. Once inside the healthcare system, we can change the paradigm to a health preventive model benefiting society. So we can create a model which is best for society and best for the individual. That's our goal. This is the summary of the proposed plan. So we have to see homeopathic remedies as tools for our patients, but tools for our practice also, tools for homeopathy. Homeopathic remedies can help us take homeopathy to the next level, to the level we all want to see homeopathy. Um, so they're wonderful homeopathic remedies. We need to decrease homeopathic piracy and competition. We need to increase the certification for education, the CHC. They're doing a great job. We need to join, more people need to join the HPCUS. Again, if you know or have some relationship with other manufacturers, I don't understand why they are not there. This is where all the laws and regulations for manufacturing are there. It should be there. Teamwork between the practitioners, education, and industry. This is essential, but the practitioners need to be the leaders. Please, we cannot allow the industry to be the leaders because we know what happens. We need to collect, share, and analyze all the data. We need to implement the quality of life questionnaires for patient evaluation. We need to integrate homeopathy into healthcare so we can finally change the model from a disease drug profit to a health and preventive model. It is change. It is time to change the record for of homeopathy. As we all know, cure can only come from the inside our community. I think we are in the last stages of our marathon. Soon technology will catch up with homeopathy and will prove that Hahnemann was way ahead of his time. Just look at the nanopharmacology or the findings of Nobel laureate Luc Montagnier. This is the reason there is so much opposition nowadays to homeopathy. But this is the same reason why we must unite as a single force and walk together these last miles. If we follow this plan, we can make history for future generations to come. Thank you. That's pretty much.
Robert, thank you very much. That was really an excellent overview and very much appreciated. So there's actually quite a number of questions. Please feel free to submit more questions as we go along. Uh, so I'm just going to go through and I'll read these questions off, and then you can just answer them one after another. Does that sound okay?
Sure, sure.
Okay. So the first question is, are these proposed or approved regulations? When do they go into effect?
Very
Uh,
good. Yes, they will go into effect in 2017. So they
okay.
are proposed. They are open to public comment right now. Some are in. If you visit HPUS.com, there's still um, some public comments, but basically it's almost all set. It will come into effect early in 2017.
Okay, so just a couple of years. And there's actually a follow-up question. Same person asked, what will the impact of these new regulations be on the price of our remedies?
It will increase the price because we need to follow all these new, more expensive things, and it will just increase the price and the availability of remedies. Because some remedies, then it's going to be so expensive to manufacture small lots and all that, that maybe they're not going to be available.
Hmm.
So that's why we need to try to come together as a team. and then we can do other remedies here in America.
Robert, will this affect the previous supply of the remedies or only new manufactured remedies? Will you still be able to sell the old ones that were under different regulations?
No, no, this is applied to all the homeopathic remedies.
So
So
if you
new
have
or
it,
old, they have to come to the same regulations.
so in other words, people would have to throw out the old remedies that they had in stock.
If they are not in compliance with new regulations, yes, yes, yes. If they are not in compliance, then it's a non-compliance remedy.
Wow. So do you feel that some remedy manufacturers might actually shut down because of these new regulations?
Yes, yes, because that's what I was. You increase regulations, you decrease competition, you increase your market share. So yes, yes, because it's going to be very expensive to manufacture homeopathic remedies, and if you don't
Wow.
have the volume to support that, to pay the expenses of manufacturing, then yeah, you need to go out of business. Yes.
Wow, this is, as you said earlier, this is a very, when Dr. Mello sent us the photo on the website, we wrote back and said, well, this is a very serious looking photo, and he responded, he said, well, this is a very serious issue, and I can see it's true. This really is a very serious issue.
Yes.
Okay, so another question from one of the participants. They ask, can you please define grafting?
So grafting is when you take a remedy, you buy the remedy in 87% alcohol, and then you medicate your own. You buy blank pellets, and then you put the 87% alcohol on the pellets, and you do the remedy. You put it in a bottle, and you put a label yourself that says homeopathic remedies from Tim John, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's completely unregulated, completely out of.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Here's another question. Dr. Mello, are you proposing ways to improve this flawed system? On all articles in the media, there are spammers, bullies, paid commentators, etc., who dominate the airwaves, cause fear, threaten those who write positive comments about homeopathy, etc. How to get the truth out to physicians, researchers, journal editors, news media, etc.
It's very difficult to do that, yes, because everything is controlled by the media and everything is big pharma and all that. It is difficult. The best way that we can do is collect the data and show results. That is the best we can do. There's nothing better than show the results that we can do, what we can achieve with homeopathy.
Okay. Here's another one. I don't know if this is a question or a comment. The person writes, also, whistleblowers put their lives, careers, and livelihood on the line.
I guess it goes to big pharma, to conventional medicine. I guess and yes, it's true. I mean, but the truth of conventional medicine is out. It's like this a book from this physician. This Ben Goldacre. I mean, it's out. It's everywhere. Yeah. I mean, whistleblowers of the industry, they have repercussions, but you know, it's now it's common knowledge. I mean, it failed. The system failed. Point. We are conventional medicine failed. We need to fix it.
Here's another comment by one of the participants. They say the Banerjees are successful due to their large collection of cases and homeopathic data. I think you mentioned that.
Yes, yes, they're far ahead from us. We need to start doing. They've been doing it for so many years, and presenting and all that is data. What counts is data. I mean, it's not so much the philosophy or this or that. We are used to this philosophy, this school of thought. Show me the data. Show me that it really works. How many patients have you treated with that approach? Show me the results, the positive, the negative results, and then we'll see. We need to collect that. It's very important.
So here's a more personal question. One of the participants asks, Dr. Miller, I wonder if your company has remedy kits in very low potency, such as 3C.
Well, we do have remedies in low potencies. Yes, I mean we do have as long as it's available for over-the-counter sale. Yes, we do. We have many different remedies, many different potencies. We try. I mean, we are more like a service company. We try to service the homeopathic practitioners. So if they have a special need, we try to service. We work for the practitioners.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to follow up with that because before we got on the live session, Dr. Mello and I were actually speaking a little bit, and he mentioned to me that I believe you said you were the only homeopathic pharmacy who sells exclusively to practitioners. You do not sell to the general public or to stores.
Right.
Could you tell us a little bit about your philosophy regarding that?
Yes. Yes. I mean, we're the only ones that support 100% of practitioners. I mean, we don't compete with them. We don't sell to the public. We want to encourage people to actually visit a practitioner
Mm.
because self-medication it's only recommended for some acute things, self-limiting conditions. But the rest, please visit a practitioner. Practitioner spends a lot of time educating themselves. I know homeopathy. We all know homeopathy is not easy. We all know that you need years of studying. So it's better the therapeutic effectiveness, the therapeutic result. Is far better if a person goes to a practitioner than just self-medicates. So we are the only ones that actually support that. So we do not sell to the public. We sell only to the practitioners or to their clients or patients. But we don't go. People from the street cannot purchase from us. If they try to purchase from us, we just guide them to a practitioner because we want to support practitioners.
Mm.
There's no competition between industry. What I was telling in the talk, we need to eliminate this competition. So we do our philosophy. We do what we talk about.
Robert, I really applaud you for that approach because and it reminds me. Recently, I had a conversation with somebody about the status of homeopathy in the United States right now, and they were arguing that homeopathy was growing, and I was saying that a lot of the schools were suffering and having difficulty with their enrollments. A lot of the businesses, the professional community itself, was not thriving right now the way that we would expect it to be, considering how effective and powerful homeopathy is. And they were saying that it was growing because they're selling more remedies through the stores. And I think it's an interesting point. But the truth of the matter is, if you look at the history of homeopathy, what you find out is that if the community, the people who are actually practicing homeopathy itself, are themselves not growing and thriving, as happened in the early 20th century in the United States, the ultimate result is the absolute dissolution of our profession. And because selling potentized remedies to people who don't know what they are or how to use them is not actually homeopathy. It's just people buying things because the health industry itself is growing, and it's not a reflection of the health or growth of homeopathy itself. And so that's why I really applaud you for this choice that you've made in your business. I think it's really an excellent approach.
Yes, because myself. I mean, I've studied so many years of homeopathy and medicine. This is being congruent with the way I think. I
Yeah,
need to support my fellow practitioners. I know it's difficult, so
yeah.
why would I want to go to sell to the public? I mean, I don't treat this as a business. I treat this more as a service to homeopathy.
Yeah, very,
Maybe
very,
that's
very good, really. Okay, here's another question from one of the participants. They ask, you say collect data according to standards, conventional standards. Why not just do the research according to the standards of homeopathic principles? Why do you need to have a specific way for the medical field to understand? Should it not be according to just what homeopathy is all about? And that's it. Wouldn't this be the correct definition of how homeopathy works? So,
Well, that's what happened to the Banerjees. You see, they collected for 20 years and they presented. to the scientific community and say, oh no, this is not the way you collect the data. You did it wrong. It's useless. You wasted 20 years. So we need to, in that part, we need to abide by the scientific community, because that's where we want to ultimately go with homeopathy, is to be accepted worldwide as a scientific therapeutic system. For that we need data, but we need the data to be collected properly, so they cannot tell you anything. It's like the same with homeopathic remedies. If you have some cases, wonderful cases of results with homeopathic treatment, and then they tell you, okay, so what kind of remedies are you using? And then you say, oh, I'm using these kind of remedies that I brought from India or whatever. So then they're going to say, okay, these are not FDA approved registered remedies. Oh, so it's not valid. It's not valid because you didn't use FDA registered remedies. We cannot, we have to show the things properly and abide by certain laws of science. And so then, people cannot look for scapegoats and say, oh, it's because this or it's because that. No. We're using FDA registered remedies manufactured according to FDA, HPCUS. Now, these are the results that we're getting. And these data is collected, according to the scientific principle. So what are you going to tell me that this is not, this doesn't work? Why would you tell me that this doesn't work if I have everything correct?
Yeah, I'd actually even like to add something that I actually don't think that even the conventional, the scientific approach itself or the conventional standards are even necessarily in conflict with the homeopathic approach. And a lot of people don't realize that the very first double-blind mass placebo study was conducted in homeopathy. It was actually conducted at the American Institute of Homeopathy World Congress in 1885. That was about 45, maybe even 50 years before that approach was adopted into conventional medicine. So in reality, we are the progenitors of the approach which is currently being employed to test medicines today. So I don't even think there is necessarily a conflict. I think homeopathy really is a very scientific methodology. If you understand really what science is, homeopathy is pure science, and there's no reason we shouldn't collect data and prove ourselves as a pure science. Hahnemann always considered homeopathy to be a science, and I don't think we should look at it in any other way.
Correct. I mean, that's how we Hahnemann and homeopathy, we are pioneers in many aspects in health. Look, finally now they're catching up to doing these quality of life questionnaires. Yeah, but we've been doing it all the time, assessing the subjective part of the patient. Now they're saying, oh, that's important. Yeah, we've been doing it for 200 years. So I mean, homeopathy, it's really, we've been pioneers in so many things, and definitely, it's a science, and we need to continue that route.
Great. Here's a comment. Somebody just says, thank you, excellent presentation. Really great to hear from you. So just a nice little accolade there. Here's another question. Why don't combination remedies have to be proven in the same way as single ones have to be? That's a provocative question.
Yes. Combination remedies, in theory, yes, they should be, doing a proving, but nobody has done provings on combination remedies. But yes, I mean, that's a good point. Nowadays, with new guidelines of provings, I don't know, not many provings are going to be done, but yeah, in theory, they should be done under a proving. Yes.
Good. Here's another question, Robert. Somebody asks, what kind of price increase are we looking at, with these new regulations? Can you give us an example?
No, I mean, I really don't know about that. I mean, we need to be competitive, I guess, with Europe. So it's not that it's going to be like crazy. I mean, we're just going to have to do it and see what it comes to. But no, I don't have any idea about that.
You couldn't guess, huh? You don't think it'll be 10 or 15 or 20% more, or 30? You don't really know.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't. Well, in manufacturing, everything depends on the volume. That's the secret of manufacturing. You see, the more volume you do, the less is the price. That's in any case, in any manufacturing that you do. So, if you have enough volume, then I would say that the prices, wouldn't go up. But if you have enough volume, then, you can balance one with the other, increase in the, manufacturing, but you have a increased volume, so you balance and there's no increase. It really depends on the volume. That's why we need to work as a team in order to overcome this. Because then, if we all work as a team, then we shouldn't expect any increase.
Okay. Here's a good question or comment. It says, this regulation sounds like another way for the opposition, people who are against homeopathy, to shut down homeopathy with increase in expenses and availability. How is this going to affect the public's access to remedies?
No, completely wrong. No, it's not like that. Remember that these the regulations are coming from inside the homeopathic community. It's not from outside. It's not the FDA that is coming with these regulations. It's the HPUS. It's not, people tend to think that, it's the FDA. No. That's why when I started the talk, you'd be surprised. I told you, you're going to be surprised where the problems are coming from. No, it's from inside the homeopathic community. We are pushing for new regulations. I'm trying to do my best in the HPUS, but I'm just one vote in 30, so that's nothing. So that's why I encourage so many, listeners, if you have contact with manufacturers, please ask them to join. Although I must say that, it's a bit late by now. But anyway, join, because we need to. I mean, it's so absurd that in the HPUS we have only 2 companies. I mean, how can it be possible? All the other companies are Europeans. It's like, for me, it's like, oh my goodness. I get so upset.
Robert, do you feel that these new regulations are going to improve the quality of homeopathic remedies? Because, we've got these remedies like the Dunham 200s, that were prepared by Carol Dunham in the 1970s, and people still use them. Andre Saint still uses them, and basically, and it says they're great. So, I mean, they seem to be working, those old remedies. Do you feel that these new regulations will actually improve the quality of the remedies, or?
No. I mean, that's a good point. Yes. Why would you think that a remedy that we're going to do, tomorrow is going to be better than one that we did, so many years ago? No. I don't know. I mean, it will improve the quality and the conventional part of looking at homeopathy, and for the regulations, for the CFR, the Code of Federal Regulations. Yes, more scrutiny, more things to comply with, but from the homeopathic point of view, I don't think that really. I mean, they are aimed to really improve the quality of the finished product. I mean, if you do, hand succussions, I mean that definitely affects the quality of a remedy. At least that's what I think. Some people use machines, we do hand, so I think that improves the quality, like we did it before. But it's a good point. Not really. I think that some of the stability of a 6C, of a 30C, what's going to change? The stability of a 30C and a 200C. Why we have to do this testing for stability so much in intermediates? It doesn't make sense. So I don't think so. But for sure, it's going to be more expensive.
Robert, unfortunately, we've only got a minute left. Somebody asked about your website. I'm going to just say it. It's easy. It's www.ompharma.com. You can see the ompharma.com up there. So just remove the rm at ompharma.com and just put www.ompharma.com, and you've got Dr. Mello's website. Again, I'm just going to mention that he was extremely generous. Dr. Mello is an incredible supporter of homeopathy, and he did offer for all students of WHN, all people who take our courses have a certificate that they can show that certificate and get a 50% discount. We do have 2 courses. If you haven't taken any of our courses, we have 2 new ones coming up. Both of them which I'm teaching. One is on the Kali remedies, Kali carbonicum, and the Kali salts. That's going to start in a couple of weeks. You can still get that course for $90. And there's another one I'm going to be teaching on the homeopathic treatment of anxiety, depression, and jealousy. That's a 6-week course, and the early bird is still available for that as well. If you haven't taken any of our courses, you can take either one of those, get a certificate, and then you'll be entitled to get a 50% discount off of Dr. Mello's remedies from his pharmacy. Robert, I'm sorry we're out of time. I'd love to have you come back again. This was an absolutely fascinating and, as you said, very serious and very important conversation. I'm sure the participants enjoyed it very much. And sorry for those of you who submitted questions and we didn't have time to get to them, but I would like to bring Dr. Mello back for a future call. And I want to thank everybody again for your participation, and especially thank you, Robert, for the time that you've taken to join us today.
No, thank you, Kim. You're the ambassador of homeopathy, so thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. Good night, everyone, and I look forward to the next free session. We do have another one coming up very soon. It's going to be Wednesday, April 1st from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., and that's going to be with Franz Vermeulen and Linda Johnson on the creation of Materia Medica. That's going to be a great one. And then also one on April 25th from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's going to be on a Saturday, and that's going to be with Peter Chappell. Peter Chappell's got the person who came out with a remedy to use for AIDS. So you'll want to check out those 2 free casts. Thanks again, everybody, and thank you again, Dr. Mello.
Thank you, Kim.